Who do we have next? Ms. Leger Fernandez.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, witnesses, for coming today. And I must say that I agree that we have a crisis on our public lands, but it's a crisis that President Trump and Elon Musk are causing through their actions to dismantle our federal land management agencies like the Forest Service, the National Park Service. You know, the Forest Service was already understaffed and underfunded before Trump and Musk, that unelected billionaire, fired 3,400 of their workers across the country. You know, USDA hasn't released the exact numbers, and I would note that there is no Trump administration official here, right? Nope, none at all. So we can ask them exact questions, right? The same way Republicans are refusing to do town halls because their voters will start asking them questions, we can ask the Trump administration these questions. But we think it's about 30% of the workers in the Santa Fe National Forest, where I represent, have been terminated. Representative Siscomani, who introduced the Flash Act, is not a stranger to these firings. His district is home to nearly 15,000 federal workers, and the Trump cuts are hurting the Coronado National Forest. In fact, Trump fired the only hydrologist in the whole forest. The only hydrologist in the whole forest. And for those of us who live in the Southwest and enjoy our mountains and our forests and know the problem with drought and the importance of water, to fire the only hydrologist is irresponsible. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record an article titled, "Fired U.S. Forest Service Worker at Coronado National Forest Speaks Out."
Without objection.
How can we expect agencies to manage our federal lands in the wake of these cuts alone, and then add more unfunded work to their plate as this bill would do? The bill we're considering today would add nearly 600 more miles of new roads for federal land management agencies to maintain. And guess how much money it provides for the maintenance of those new roads? Nada, zero. So you're adding roads. Who's going to build those roads? How are you going to maintain those roads? Because there's no more new money. In fiscal year 2023, the National Park Service reported over $8 billion in deferred maintenance on its roads alone. Mr. Krummenacher, as a longtime leader in the National Park Service, how do you see the unfunded projects in this bill impacting the agency's ability to maintain its current services?
The Park Service can't maintain its current services now with the existing staff. And in fact, it's not just the recent cuts, which are estimated about 9% of the staff. Since 2010, Park Service is down about 16% in staff, and visitation has skyrocketed. So the ratios are going in exactly the wrong direction. So Big Bend National Park lost about 9 people, which is about 10% of its workforce since January 20th, and right now has no maintenance supervisors at all. So still has to deal with spring break and visitors, 500,000 visitors a year. And then you're looking at a deferred maintenance workload in Big Bend alone of $192 million. And so the park is falling behind now. And then to add additional roads, construction and maintenance in a desert environment where it's subject to flash floods and unstable soils, it just doesn't seem possible to me.
Right, and I think that, you know, we all agree that we need to address the fentanyl issues, right? But we also know that fentanyl is coming in the ports of entry, smuggled in by American citizens for the most part. So we need to invest in the technology and the places where we'll be able to capture that fentanyl and not put this undue burden in order to just make a big to-do when we're not actually funding the work that will solve the problem. And that's what I have with this bill, is it's not the solution that we need. and there's no money that goes along with it. And they're going to vote on a funding bill, the Republicans are, that gives Musk and Trump the ability to cut whatever they want. And I think that is a problem. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Fuller.